I will go to Senator Babet.
Thank you, Chair. Now, my question's for Mr Goyder. First of all, thank you for appearing today. Now, Qantas, it's been wrapped up in some scandals recently, let's be honest. We've seen the ACCC's legal action over ghost flights. We've seen a High Court ruling over illegally sacked workers and the multi-million-dollar payout to your former CEO, Mr Alan Joyce, for damage to the reputation of the brand is significant. Now, the Australian Shareholders Association have called for your resignation as chairman. Do you believe that your position as the chairman is tenable?
So, thank you, Senator, and if I can answer that question, but again repeat that we understand, and I understand and the board understands, that we have some work to do to regain the trust of all of our stakeholders. Having said that, I met with major shareholders the week before last, after Alan's retirement and after the ACCC information came out. And the feedback I got from our major shareholders was that they want the continuity of leadership of me as chair of the board, and particularly with a new CEO. So I and the rest of the board take our roles very seriously. It's primarily to look after the interests of Qantas, and that's what we will do. None of us put our personal interests ahead of that. While I retain the confidence of our shareholders and the board, I'll continue to serve because I think we've got some very significant challenges in front of us and issues to deal with, and I think that's the best outcome for Qantas. If that confidence isn't maintained, then clearly I'll review that decision.
Thank you, Mr Goyder. Now, Ms Hudson, Mr Joyce recently departed the helm of Qantas. We all know that. Now, will this provide sufficient change to correct the course of your company? If not, what other actions will you take to regain the trust of your shareholders? Not all of them agree in what you just said, Mr Goyder, to regain the trust of your shareholders and the Australian people.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. My focus from the outset, as soon as I stepped into the role, has been to connect with our customers, to connect with our people. And through that, I've spent a lot of time listening to that feedback. And my focus is absolutely going to be determined to fix the issues that we have. I've outlined a lot of that on Friday. Apart from apologising to customers, I've also outlined an $80 million incremental spend on top of $150 million in customer investment over the next 12 months, from improving our redemptions to fixing pain points in call centres, to also helping our people and backing our people up to be able to recover when things don't go to plan. The one thing as well, in the time I've been in CEO, is listening to our people. Our people are the absolute asset of the organisation. They are committed, they are passionate, and they are going to be a part of how we win back the trust of our customers. And so my job is to back them up. I've also spent a lot of time reaching out to stakeholders, including reaching out to many of our union representatives, both in terms of a conversation but also follow-up meeting, because I think that a new CEO is a time to reset our relationship with our customers, our people, but also reset that relationship with stakeholders. Because what I'm focused on is growing, is investing in the new aircraft, is providing promotional opportunities with the new aircraft that are coming. That's actually good for the Australian economy, and it's also good for customers and the communities that we serve.
Thank you, Ms Hudson. Now, Mr Joyce, who's obviously absent today, he stated in a previous Senate committee hearing into the cost of living recently that Qantas made representations to the government following Qatar's request for additional flights. He said that it would cause distortion in the market. Can you please explain what he means by distortion in the market and just what representations were made, if you can give us a bit of an insight there?
Well, I can't talk on behalf of Mr Joyce, but what I understand...
Surely you would be privy to that information, being the CFO of Qantas, and, you know, he's offsider, so to speak.
Well, I can't talk on behalf of Alan Joyce, but what I understand in terms of the submission that we made with regard to Qatar was it was in October 22. The international market had not yet recovered from COVID, and our submission pointed to that awarding a 200% increase in traffic rights to Qatar when the market hadn't even returned to 100%. We felt that it was important that the market returned to 100% before we structurally changed.
So you thought it was important to protect your bottom line?
No, not at all. We actually could see that the market was coming back, that was an important part, that there are many competitors now back in the market. 52 competitors are back in the market now. The market will be at 100% by early next year. Airfares are coming down as we thought that they were coming down, and capacity is being announced and coming into the market every day. We have many trading partners where we have open sky arrangements with, and we think that it's been incredibly important to let the market recover from the impacts of COVID.
Would you support an open skies type of arrangement for the Australian market?
We welcome competition. I think that that's actually a really important part of Australia. We've got one of the most open and competitive markets across the globe. We think it's important, though, that you strike the right balance between growth and growth in tourism, but also maintaining a healthy Australian aviation market at the same time.
Yeah. So, Ms Hudson, in the last sitting period of federal parliament, the government said on multiple occasions that the decision to block Qatar Airways access to more flights in Australia was made in the national interest, is what the minister said, and used this as justification for her decision-making. Now, do you think protecting Qantas by reducing competition, which would obviously drive down prices for consumers and for freight, is in the national interest, or is it just in your company's interest?
Look, I think that the government's decisions on traffic rights, that is a matter for the government, and I think that those questions should be posed to them.
Okay, now, Ms Hudson, according to some Raw Morgan research which I've seen recently, Qantas has fallen from 9th to the 40th most trusted consumer brand. Now, can you just give us some brief comments as to why that is, and just really quickly exactly what your airline is going to do about it for those listening at home?
Well, I outlined on Friday, and I recognised the fact that we have not delivered on what they expected, and that has created frustration, and many have lost trust in us. And that is actually being demonstrated in terms of those kind of metrics. What I've said to the Australian public is that I am determined to fix that. I'm determined to fix that by not what I say, but what we do and how we behave. And we are focusing on pain points, including call centres. We're investing in call centres. We're investing in redemption seats. We are also focused on making sure that we recover better than anyone else when things don't go to plan, and supporting and backing our people to do that.
Now, Ms Hudson, it's been alleged that Qantas has lobbied the Labor government to deny Qatar from increasing its flights into Australia. Is there any substance at all to these allegations?
Well, I can confirm that I have not had any conversations with the government whatsoever on Qatar. When I came into this role as the CEO, I made inquiry to the head of our government affairs team with regard to the representations that we had made to the government on Qatar and on other matters. He confirmed that he has not, or his team have not, spoken to the Transport Minister or the Prime Minister.
Ms Hudson, Qantas works with a lobbying firm called SEC Newgate, is that correct?
I need to take that on notice, but I have informed myself before coming to this committee that we are not working with any lobbyists at the moment. So
at the moment you don't work with SEC Newgate at all? So
it's on their website.
It's on your website?
No, not there,
on SEC's website? So as far as I know, SEC Newgate employs 17 former employees of the Parliament, former ministerial staffers, etc. Now, if you can take it on notice if you'd like, but I'd like to know if they've been, I guess, in the government's ear to convince them to deny Qatar Airways.
I will take that on notice, but as I said, coming to this committee, I did ask that question, and it was confirmed that we are not working with any lobbyists at the moment.
So, Ms Hudson, Qantas is openly supporting the yes vote in the upcoming referendum. Now, can you categorically say that your airline's support for the yes campaign was not a factor in your airline's lobbying of the government against the extension of Qatar Airways services into Australia? Was that a factor in it?
They're completely different and unrelated positions. We have many conversations with the government across a spectrum of issues, including the voice, including submissions on air services agreements, industrial relations, and also sustainable aviation fuel. And our commitment to the voice is, as I was saying, over a decade of support for Indigenous reconciliation. We started that formally in 2014. We were supporters of the Uluru Statement, and this also then formally as part of our support for the voice.
Now, Ms Hudson, one final question. How do your employees feel who intend to vote no to the voice about your public support of the yes campaign?
We have a large community of Indigenous employees who are very supportive of the company position that we have taken. We have also said in many forums, and I have as well in town halls, we have recognised that this is an independent decision of employees and the general public in terms of how they're going to vote. We do not position ourselves to disrespect anyone who's got any different opinion.
Is it in the best interest of your shareholders to be involved in such a divisive campaign, such as The Voice?
We have taken social positions on things in the past, and we think as a corporate it's important that we speak out, particularly on things that we have supported for over a decade.
Thank you, Chair. That's it for my questions.
Yeah, that's my kind of party, the United Australia Party. So sound the starting gun. You know we've just